been reminded of something I heard David Mitchell say when I went to a talk at The Guardian a couple of years ago, and he said that through autism he had met the best people and seen the best in people, and that couldn't summarise better how I'm feeling about today at the moment, and also couldn't summarise better how I feel about Agony Autie being here with us. So our paths have come across each other via San Diego. I've got a friend, Rebecca Ching, who's part of the Daring Way community that I'm in, who lives in San Diego, and she's got an autistic daughter, and we were talking and she said, oh, you've got to look on Facebook, there's this really awesome woman called Agony Autie, she's doing some really great stuff around destigmatisation. So I looked her up, got in touch, we've had some great chats on Zoom and on Skype, and then last week she emailed me and said, Rox, do you know Mike Archer? And I was like, yeah, he's my brother. And she was like, we've been best friends for 10 years.
I literally have no friends. I think I count them on my hands, and Mike's one of the very few. So
how weird is that? So, my great pleasure, introduce Agony Autie. Over to you, my love.
I was going to focus on how self-harming I've managed to reduce it through stimming, but I wanted to make it more relevant. So the title today really is Overloads. No, it's not. It's supporting your neurodivergent workforce and defending them. Overloads, burnout, and understanding stimming. One of the greatest things about these conferences is the acceptance often that is fostered here. It's really rare. And I said to my mum, whenever we leave these safe spaces, you go really low, because you have to wait until the next time where you can feel safe and you can feel openly autistic or openly neurodivergent. But accepting it, we are very, very still far behind in where we need to be. And to see people wanting autistic innovation, creation, that attention to detail, you know, the way that we focus, our loyalty, that output, if you want all of that, and if you're putting all of those down, those key things down as things that you want in an employee, you also need to be looking at their welfare, because you cannot have all of those wonderful gifts that come so naturally, they really do, if you're neurodivergent, but often we don't feel like they're gifts. So to be neurodivergent, brain diversity, is ADHD, autism, sensory processing, bipolar, OCD, schizophrenia, learning disabilities. That's neurodiversity, brain diversity, the concept that there are multiple different ways of learning and sensing and being. I'm autistic and ADHD and sensory sensitive, and I also have a disability, so it's intersectional. And I burn out and overload a lot. And for so long, it's just been, oh, it's the behaviour. It's the challenging behaviour. It's this disruption. It's this opposition. It's this laziness, yeah? Those were the deficits, that's the blaming that I have. And I wanted, before you can defend us, I wanted to show you what we're up against. So trigger warnings for this. I'm so sorry to have to say some of these things, but I get this every week. Because to be an openly autistic advocate, or an openly neurodivergent advocate, as many of my peers are, we receive hate speech. And this is what he said when he's been recently seeing autistic people. We've been asking basically, can we please join in? Can you please employ us? This is his response. Call me ableist, I don't care. I cannot have employees that shake wildly, cannot hold eye contact, or have a confident conversation with a customer, or cry, or throw a temper tantrum at the drop of a hat, period. When I was growing up, when there was a kid with autism, we called them stupid. We called them retarded. We beat them up, and guess what? It magically cured their autism. Because back then, parents understood that when you get your kids bullied, you fix them until it stops. This was posted yesterday. Because what we also have is research coming out and saying these autistic people, I'll focus on the autistics because that is what I am, they are perceiving everything as a threat. Their brains are coded wrong. Well, we've got the answer. It's conversion therapy. We're going to put them through pain simulations to desensitize it. Yet the homosexual community have been through this. And the neurodivergent community are also having parallels. And what I want you to know is that when you employ us, you will get all of those wonderful things that you seek. You'll get innovation, you will get ideas, wonderful, wacky ideas that no one ever thought of, because literally you just need a different brain sometimes. If I'm having an overload at my desk, I'm also your whiz kid, I create all your code. So without me, you're nothing. So if I'm like, at my desk, I'm like, la 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 la, in between work jobs, kind of regulating, stimulating, and I'll talk about stimming more in a moment. It may be for some of these different reasons. The autistic community, our health. We have epileptics, we have muscle atrophy, we have Ehlers-Danlos loss syndrome, it's joints dislocating, coming out of place. So, not all of us, but some of us will have complex medical health needs. So you may have disabled autistics or disabled neurodivergents. You could have neurodivergents with communication issues, so tics, Tourette's, non-verbal, speech apraxic, may talk through a machine instead. You may have autistics with PTSD, that's trauma, with anxiety, with depression, but most of the UK is depressed anyway. So now I need to change my hand and wipe the sweat. Here, it's really gross. It's part of my nervous system. I have it's a heart thing, I'm not going to go into it, it's boring. It's my heart, okay? So, hidden things that you may not see, invisible disabilities, if you make the adaptations, and this is the really cool part, the environment sometimes makes us burn out. And the best thing about that is you can adapt it. So, structure, policy, attitudes, culture, noise, even the commute to work. What is going on with your employee? Do you value them enough actually to try and think? They're struggling, or do you know what, they're too disruptive. It's your choice, it's your prerogative. Are we as a community, are we too disruptive? Or do you have internal bias that is unchecked? Yeah, I get this. And I get this squish because if I'm not doing it, do you know what I'm doing? I'll just tear off the skin around my fingers like I have since I was 8 years old. And one second, do you need to look at my notes? Oh yeah, I put, they blame it on us, how dare they? How dare they? How dare people like the employer blame the movements and regulation as something to be lazy and disruptive and it can be kicked and cured out of us. That is a narrative that is destroying this community, and it's why I need employers to defend us, because if 40% of millionaires are neurodivergent, that's amazing. But I've been saying to my mum and dad that they're really fed up with me going on and on about it. We need those in positions of power and authority to wake up, and this is the scary part, to come out as neurodivergent and to pledge, I'm going to ensure that that person or that kid or that employee never has to go through what I did, never has to consider maybe taking their life, never has to consider X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to go down the dark route, it is dark. It's about defending us now, not just creating programs to include us and integrate us. It's about stepping up and speaking out for your employees. I need to move, I need to seek, I need to touch, I need to pluck and squeeze and grab, and that's where the self-harm can come into it, yeah? And then you have the hypersensitive, which is a don't be judging. And it's because if you think about a sensory quota going up and down, one day it's like a balloon, it's too much, and if you touch it, it will pop, it will overload. That's how autistic people can be, we can swing. And we stim to emotionally regulate and to sensory regulate. Sensory is to block out the lights and the noise and the sound and tactile, yeah? That's why we do it. So when I say that you need to make accommodations for stimming and really check your attitude and your cultural biases, it's because in the next 5 to 10 years, it will just be recognised as neurophobic. Because what I've just explained to you is that it's a neurological way of coping and being. And without it, we cannot function. I'm an autistic person that has maths. My little boy, who is 7, he cannot maths. And for me, it's wonderful and it's beautiful because he's authentically autistic. But boy, does it make him vulnerable. To sit there like this. Yeah? And I know what he's doing. He's literally doing, like, you know, logo movies when they go, you can see it. You can see it all. My son can't speak much either. So for a long time, people see it and they pathologise the behaviour. They think, deficit, oh, poor thing, you can't. But give my son a piece of paper, adapt. Stop trying to get him to talk a language that he can't talk. Stop trying to get him to make eye contact when you know it is painful for him to do so, or he finds it too intense. Stop trying. Oh, another reason he's not giving you eye contact, by the way, and is why I don't do it too, is because if I look away, I can just bring up my memory bank. It's Sherlock does the mind palace thing, yeah? I'm not saying I'm like him, but you bring up the visual bank and you can walk around it in places, and I hate it because then sometimes you're in a different place. You're disassociating by after, and that is a gift, but imagine how traumatic that can also be if you can access memories with that clarity. So when you bring autistic innovation into your workplace, stimulate it. Create not only the space within your attitude and your culture, but I'm asking for physical space. I'm asking for, at the desk, allowing me to have tactile or sensory equipment or things that help me regulate, things that help. When Sarah gets a little bit teary and a little bit emotional, she's got to get a squish and she's got to squish it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But now she can get on with the day instead of having to go home and having a whole week off. Because she got really ashamed because she had a whole blowout at the office. So that's how it works as well. Because the fight-flight system's gone, your blood pressure has changed so quickly, your head goes so you ground. Autistics, when they're emotionally distressed, will do the same. So beanbags, ground. You are inviting a stigmatised community into your workforce because you believe in them. Because you are going to be at the forefront of this revolution of change. But you need to become a little bit autistic yourselves. And that means really consulting with us, talking with us, and starting from there. Thank you so much. I can take some questions.
Thank you. I was so close to crying before I came on the stage. I can't even tell you. So I'm one of those emotional autistics I am. Thank you. Totally
Amazing. Any questions for Agony Autie?
Possible self-harming as a stim and how you can divert into something that is less self-destructive.
Yes, ma'am. Is this the one? It is. Because that was what I was supposed to talk about. So I will. Thank you so much for getting back on track with that. Okay, so yeah. These are little plastic spikes, and I'm very, very sensitive, so anything can hurt me. That actually hurt. Ow. So even that, it doesn't cause me any pain necessarily or harm, but it is enough to get rid of the urge to flap so much that it may turn into a ball whack. So what happens is, I'm an autistic who has trauma, and a lot of autistics will have trauma, whether it's from bullying or abuse or for victimisation, whatever it may be. And because of the way that autistic people think, remember that gift that we have where we can visualise and often will become triggered by sound or taste or smell or whatever in the environment, means that we have this amazing memory bank. But like I said, it means the other stuff can also be so easily triggered too. And that's where the self-harm comes in. The emotions are so strong, we often replace it with a physical sensation because the emotional is unbearable. So when you're stimming, people like to stop the stimming because they think the stimming is the harm, but it's usually communicating it, and I often go, it turns into this, or into this. So instead of my head, I try to go for either my knees or my hips, or often displacing it. So throwing something again and again, I'm so sorry, throwing stuff again and again against the wall, punching pillows, ripping up paper, and people are like, oh my goodness. I had a message going, you disgust me because you are encouraging autistics to participate in maladaptive behaviours. I said, I'm encouraging autistics to find safe and adaptive avenues to express their anger and their pain and their trauma because we've not been taught, and we are a boiling pot of emotion. So we're going to harm ourselves to stop it. I totally get it. I've managed to stop hurting my skin, and I've not hurt it now for 8 months. Unfortunately, it means I do smack my face, so that's the next challenge. But it's, you know, we're getting there, but I can maybe talk a bit more. But I can talk a quick about stimming. Embrace your stim, okay? I put music on and then like just stim, unconsciously kind of flap around and move around to it, yeah? But it won't work for everyone. But explore your stims.
Another question, please.
What would you say actually influenced your confidence to be able to deliver such a great speech? Did you have a great teacher, your mum? What has enabled you to do what you do as well as Agony Autie?
I have to say, like in school, you got the teachers that basically help you and recognise you, they stick with you forever. And there was totally this neurodivergent teacher, I can't out him though, but he was. He was my English teacher, so I can't say his name, but he's so autistic, it's untrue. And I idolised him, I loved him, he was like my spirit animal. And he used to come in like this, he wouldn't talk to anyone in the corridors ever, it was like this, like he'd come into the classroom, open his little battered case, open the book, and he'd become alive. He'd come alive, it's a special interest. The way he talked. I was like, how does he do that? And I'm an autistic who echoes, a lot of us will mask, so we'll pick up other people's, you know, really corny answers. It's my son. It's my son, it's the community, it's the messages I get every day. I have messages from parents saying, and it's 7-year-olds, 8-year-old autistic, neurodivergent children saying, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be alive, I'm not normal. I'm not normal. And Steve Hatch from Facebook, he said, how do we get rid of the stigma? This is what inspires me. How do we get rid of the stigma? And I said to my mum, that's easy. You know the part where you're ashamed of yourself? That's easy. You create a culture. And we don't have one. Autistic people, neurodivergent people, we do. It's called geek culture, by the way, that's ours. But we're not openly visible to one another. We are invisible to each other, but in plain sight. We just need to lift the veil. It's literally general relativity. Einstein's like, right now, because we are already there. That is what inspires me. For autistic and neurodivergent people to realise that their neural tribe, that the Steve Silberman writes, they're probably right by them. How is it that my best friend was diagnosed autistic too, only 4 years ago? We're both late diagnosed, we both found each other. You're drawn to your personalities and your special interests, but we still need an openly autistic culture and community. It starts with saying, hi, I'm autistic. Are you autistic too? Do you think you got papers? You aren't like me. And you don't shut up talking. Yeah? So, that's what inspires me. But what inspires me the most is my son can't speak for himself yet. He has coordination difficulty, and he's so vulnerable to that. He has adults laughing at him. So I need to defend him with as much might as we can. It'd be great if we had allies to help me though. And the community, you know, the autistic community, we are looking to you. We want neurotypical allies. We want non-autistic stims. I can see people stimming. Hey, so cute. I'm sorry. I just point when I see people who are neurodivergent because they get scared and they get worried. I'm so sorry, but I'm desperate for this community. Like allies can do is become enraged. Become enraged at what is happening to my community. First of all, go and look at Steve Silberman, Neurotribes. You're going to hate me. Feel like it's like a Bible. It's literally this big. This tiny text. But it's literally an anthology history of autism, neurodivergency. Where did it come from? Where did the word come from? Why did it only come to public consciousness in 1943? Oh, that's because psychology only came around then. Then it makes more sense. You can totally pathologise, just like the gay community. And yes, there is a need for medical attention in my community. We have some of the most serious medical conditions, but they're all under research and very neglected, so no wonder they're serious. What was your question again though? Oh, how to be ally is basically come to us, listen to us, ask how can we help, but really say, hey, this isn't okay. How can they be wanting to do electric shock therapy in special needs schools for discipline? How are these police tasering autistic children outside their own homes because they didn't make eye contact? How? How is this happening? That's what we need. Thank you. Yeah, I'm usually a lot more. So just thank you for being patient, because a lot of people, when they see people, and I've been guilty, they see people like, and they go, for God's sake. Come on, admit it. Some of us, including myself, go, for God's sake, please something. Come on. That's what I mean by internal biases, and it's totally okay to have it. What we need to do is then go, hey, ego, come on. Because that's what that is, that's your ego. I check mine all the time. That was supposed to be a cool throwing catch. It was not a cool throwing catch. Anyway, thank you so much.